Welcome back to A Midnight's Tale. Tonight's story is of a covenant and how far it would go to keep humanity safe. What are the things lurking within that unknown vessel called a church? What are their determinations? What do they seek to accomplish, and why? So many secrets that we will now uncover. Enjoy and have a terrifyingly good night.
I never expected to find myself in this situation, but here I am, a newly made nun in a church that harbours a terrifying secret. At first, the convent of Saint Agnes seemed like the perfect sanctuary, a place where I could dedicate my life to serving God and humanity. Little did I know the horrors that lay beneath its serene exterior. The first time I stepped into the church, the atmosphere felt strangely oppressive, and the dimly lit candles cast eerie shadows on the stone walls. The other nuns greeted me with warm smiles, but their eyes held a sadness that I couldn't quite understand. As the days turned into weeks, I started noticing odd behaviours among the sisters. They would sometimes mutter to themselves in strange languages, their voices echoing through the empty hallways. At night, I could hear faint whispers and laughter, which only added to the growing unease that gnawed at my soul. One evening, as I knelt before the altar, my rosary beads slipping through my trembling fingers, I noticed Sister Mary Catherine, the oldest and most devoted nun among us, acting particularly peculiar. Her eyes were devoid of emotion, and her voice took on a sinister tone as she led our nightly prayers. That night, as I lay in my narrow cot, unable to sleep, I heard the faint sound of chanting emanating from the chapel. I slipped out of bed, curious and fearful of what I might find. As I approached the chapel, the chanting grew louder, and I pushed the heavy wooden doors open slightly, just enough to peek inside. What I saw within the chapel still haunts my nightmares. The other nuns, my sisters, were gathered around the altar, their eyes vacant, their voices filled with an unnatural resonance. In the flickering candlelight, I saw their forms contort, their bodies writhing as if they were possessed by malevolent entities. Sister Mary Catherine stood at the centre, her body arching backward, her face twisted into a grotesque mask of agony. Her voice, now unearthly and guttural, spoke in a language I couldn't comprehend. It was then that I realized the truth. Each nun was a vessel for a different demon from hell. They were willingly sacrificing their souls to trap these demons inside their bodies, all in the name of saving humanity. Terrified and trembling, I backed away from the chapel, my heart pounding in my chest. The revelation was too much to bear. These women, who had taken vows of piety and devotion, were engaged in a dark and sinister ritual to prevent these demons from wreaking havoc upon the world. In the following days, I couldn't shake the images of the possessed nuns from my mind. The weight of the secret I now carried, the knowledge that the safety of humanity rested on the shoulders of those willing to make the ultimate sacrifice, weighed heavily on me. I found myself torn between my initial horror and a growing sense of duty. As I continued to witness the dedication of my sisters, their unwavering commitment to safeguarding humanity from the malevolent forces of hell, a transformation began within me. I started to see the nobility in their sacrifice, the selflessness in their actions. They were willing to endure the torment of demon possession to protect the world from the horrors that lurked in the shadows. One night, I sought out Sister Mary Catherine, the one who had seemed the most possessed and tormented of all. I found her in the chapel, kneeling before the altar, her eyes distant, her voice filled with an eerie resonance. I approached her, my fear giving way to a deep understanding of her sacrifice. "Sister Mary Catherine," I whispered, "I understand now. I see the purpose of it all. I'm willing to join you, to accept my duty, to become a vessel for a demon if that's what it takes to save humanity." Sister Mary Catherine turned her head slowly, her eyes meeting mine. In that moment, I saw a spark of recognition, a glimmer of hope, as if my acceptance had lifted a burden from her soul. She nodded, and in her eyes, I found not only acceptance but also a shared sense of purpose. From that day forward, I embraced my role as a guardian of humanity. I willingly surrendered myself to the same dark ritual that had bound my sisters to their demons. As the entity entered my body, I felt an overwhelming sense of power and responsibility. Together with my sisters, we would continue to pray, to strengthen the barriers that kept the demons at bay, and to ensure that they could never escape into the world. In the end, I had become a willing sacrifice, a vessel for a demon, but it was a sacrifice made out of love for humanity. And as we prayed together each day, I knew that our collective sacrifice was a beacon of hope, a shield protecting the world from the horrors of hell, one prayer at a time. Matthew 12, verse 45. Then the demons go and take with it 7 other spirits more wicked than itself, and they go in and live there. The final condition of that person is worse than the first. That is how it will be with this wicked generation.